Hey there, Internet. Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear. Knife of the Week, episode 20. Here we have the knives that I've used for the past week. At the end of the video, I'll tell you which knife came through as my knife of the week. Before we jump right into this week's video, quick idea. Somebody last week commented on what they carried. Why don't you guys let me know down in the comment section what knives you carried this week, and at the very least let me know what your knife of the week was. What knife came through for you the most? What did you find yourself using the most? What impressed you? What came in clutch during those hard use moments? Yeah, comment below what was your knife of the week? What knives did you carry? Very much appreciate you guys letting me know that. Be kind of interested to see what everyone's doing for their EDC spread. So spring fire season is into full swing. Going into this week, I wanted to try something different, and I threw the Spyderco Bow River on my hip. I wanted to finally give it an honest chance, and unfortunately it didn't happen. I did have this on my belt for about 3 days. Found myself going for the SR1 Lite about every time instead of this. The sheath's pretty slick, it's pretty comfortable. I forget this thing is on my hip. I don't really know why I always went for the SR1 Lite, but this thing just never came to me in the moment. So it is still razor sharp. Like I said, didn't use it once. The only action it's got is against the sheath, because it's getting quite a bit of friction going in there and slicing up the inside of that a little bit. It's not broken in at all, so over time that'll only get better if I actually wear it. The reason I took this off my hip is because, as I mentioned, fire season has kicked into gear, and I did not trust this thing on my hip in a helicopter, partially because the dangle's a little bit tight, and it would be quite tight to my hip bouncing around. Not that the Glock field knife sheath wouldn't. Yeah, I guess that's not really a good excuse against this one in particular, but a dangle carry for getting in and out of helicopters and off in and out of vehicles is pretty nice to be able to move that around and not have it driving into your hip. For this one, I was worried because it doesn't have a great retention compared to, say, like some of these modern sheaths, that it would pop out. Maybe only a little, maybe a lot, maybe all the way, and then fall out in the helicopter or on the ground where I'll be jumping down too. But either way, didn't trust it, decided to swap it out, and I put this to the side for the Glock field knife for the rest of the week, which I was very happy with. I did not use it either because, again, the SR1 Lite, for some reason, just kept calling my name this week. We'll get to that in a minute. But the Glock field knife is a beautiful piece of gear, and lots of folks were asking about this because nobody's really seen this knife. I hadn't seen this knife until it was brought up to me by Wyvern, I believe, in one of my first videos, the K.O.T.W video, I think. Yeah, a comment that was meant. Yeah, he mentioned in a comment that the Glock field knife would be a good alternative to the K.O.T.W, and damn it, he was right. But I want to give this a chance on the Fireline this summer. It's got the sawback, which is good for getting through roots if I do intend to use this for a little bit of like Fireline stuff. It's got like a 7-inch blade, which is pretty good to go for any kind of wildlife encounters if I were to have to get in some terrible little knife fight with, say, pesky black bear or something. Yeah, so 6-inch blade. Pretty sufficient to get through flesh and fat and hopefully 2 organs, hypothetically. But again, hopefully that'll never come to that. So I brought the Workshop Field Sharpener out because I used this a ton this week to sharpen a bunch more knives, and I think it's to the point now where I'm going to start charging people a few bucks here and there. The offer was made to me a few times, and I'm like, hey, you know what? The products are coming out pretty good. As you can see, I'm running out of arm hair, but I can deliver a pretty good guaranteed hair popping edge without too much difficulty on most knives. So yeah, 20 bucks here or there to do the odd reprofiling job, maybe $5-10 for a quick touch-up, and that'll just be locally for now. I don't think I'm going to be going into the realm of mailing out or getting mail-ins for knives to sharpen on anything like that. I don't have the equipment and tools to do a precise job to the level of, say, like making sure it's the exact angle of 20 degrees, but for the guys that I know working in the bush who beat the crap out of their knives, the edge that I can put back on for them is probably better than what they'll find anywhere else, and if they think it's worth $10 or $20, then who am I to fight them on it? Swiss Army knife, Victorinox Pioneer X was in my jeans, in the coin pocket as a backup multi-tool. Never got used, but it was there for whatever purpose it may have found. If for some reason I ran out of knives and or just wanted to hand this off to somebody and I didn't trust them with a nicer knife or something a little bit more big and aggressive, like a triad lock. Maybe I wouldn't hand this to a 12-year-old kid. They might be a little more familiar with a Victorinox Swiss Army knife. Not that I'm handing knives to children, but hypothetically in that situation, maybe you don't give them a big thick triad lock that they'll probably never get closed. That's a weird analogy anyways. The Manix 2 was in my pocket for jeans and sweatpants, shorts, that kind of stuff. It got used a handful of times. Nothing special, nothing too aggressive. Just a few, packages open, maybe food containers, that sort of thing. But no complaints. As always, the Manix 2 and Manix 2 Lightweight are beautiful knives and pretty much my favorite EDC pocket knife design. I skipped the Millspy Elite, which was also on my jeans, on my belt. Right hand side, offhand, handle down, quick, easy access. No major use for this guy, but I couldn't help but practice draw this a few times, as it is just kind of a nice, slick, low-profile knife to have on my hip, and super easy to grip and rip and get into action. On my belt, in the nylon holster provided by Leatherman, I had the Leatherman Signal once again on my Nomex work pants as my main multi-tool for the week. Didn't use it, as I normally don't, but it is there. Those pliers will come in handy one day, I'm sure, as they tend to a couple times a year. Which, is it worth carrying a full-size multi-tool for a couple of times that you use pliers? At least for me anyways, the couple of times I use pliers in a year, when I'm not using actual pliers, that is. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think it is worth carrying something like this, or do you use a multi-tool for the pliers way more than I do? Is that a regular daily occurrence in your life? Let me know, I'm kind of curious. And if you don't mind liking the video, that is a huge help to the Hard On Gear channel. Now, last knife on the table, and as you might have guessed, this week's knife of the week is the SR1 Lite from Cold Steel. Now, I haven't touched this thing up. It's only 8CR14 MOV, which is like same thing as 8CR13 MOV, just maybe a tad bit more chromium, I believe. But yeah, this still should have a fairly decent edge. Oh yeah, no, she's still getting hairs. But I use this thing a lot this week. Nothing too crazy or gritty, obviously, or else this thing would not be cutting the way it still is. But I found myself reaching into my pocket all the time for this. Super easy to deploy. The weight behind the blade, they will see it fail on the upwards fighting gravity here in this camera shot. But a little bit of wrist, and the blade flies open. And this triad lock, while I did say it's a bit sticky and hard to operate for most people, the SR1 Lite's triad lock is quite a bit easier than some of the other ones out there. I know my Recon 1 is way harder to actuate. The SR1 Lite knife of the week this week. Nope, helicopter flying around out there. Alright, helicopter noises have almost gone away, and yeah, we're talking about the SR1 Lite, which whenever it ends up in my pocket, almost always ends up being my knife of the week. Who would have freaking thought, huh? I was sleeping on this one for a while, but everyone talked this knife up quite a bit. Whenever I mention the hard use capabilities of my other folders, people tend to go, well, the SR1 Lite's way tougher, and I believe you're probably right. It is a phenomenal knife. It's a big knife. It's a huge knife, but it almost might be worth the wait. Just watch out, as I was just doing there, you'll see as you do the triad lock one-handed close, my finger is as close as it can possibly get to that forward finger choil, that little knob there in the way, protect my hand from sliding up the blade. As I close it, the blade will swing shut, and if I have my finger too far down, it would perhaps guillotine my finger, maybe not off, but definitely would do some damage, as this is a very sharp knife at this current point in time. So be careful when you're doing that one-handed close with the triad locks. That is maybe the safety message for the day as we close out this, what is the 20th episode of Knife of the Week. So thanks a bunch, everyone, for tuning into these Knife of the Weeks. I apologize for the choppy upload schedule lately. My work schedule is now very erratic, no longer on a Monday to Friday thing. But the videos will still come out. They may come out a little bit late or a little bit off time or in spurts or in bunches or whatever, but they will be coming your way. So stay subscribed and notification bell on to get those when they come out. Again, appreciate you liking the video if you haven't already. And I do hope we see you on the next Knife of the Week or the next Hog video or on one of the other Hog videos popping up onto your side panel or down below the video that you're watching right now. We'll see you on one of those. This is the Hard On Gear channel signing off.